Good morning. Let's go ahead and get started because I think we've got a lot to cover. For those of you that don't know, I'm Stephanie, and I'm the market manager, and Lucy is standing guarding the door. So if anyone gets out of hand, Lucy will take you out. So we've got our eye on a few, but anyway, so first of all, I want to introduce my new director. This is Brian Daly.
Hey, Brian.
And this is Will Bassett. And Will is in charge of business services and marketing for the Parks and Rec. So anyway, and I think Kathy Kilday,
Yay.
Market Central.
Get it, Kathy.
Cecile, Market Central and Java now. Judy Berger is sitting on the floor back there. Judy, a lot of you probably know Judy from taking donations last year, which we are going to continue to do. And I think, is that it? I think I got everyone. So we're going to start off with a Jack Kaysen update. A week ago, I thought this was going to be a really good update. And apparently, Jack is not doing well. He is back in the hospital. He is in ICU in serious condition. He's having breathing problems. And I'm not sure, George might be able to help me a little more on what his issues are. I know that they put a trach in and it wasn't working.
That won't work. But.
Oh, it is. They're going to have to put a feeding tube in. You know, he's not doing great. So if you're a praying person, pray for Jack. He's an amazing man. And so anyway, before I start to cry, I'm going to move on. City Market, I'm just going to kind of give you a little, City Market was great this year, as you all know. The market sales were down April through June. They were down a little bit. July was up, August was down, September and October, up again. Overall, we were 125,000 over last year, which is pretty amazing because every year I think there's no way we're going to beat this number. There's no way. We hit 1 million and I was like, okay, well, here we are. But we did it again. So it's we were at 1.2 million in sales, and that's reported sales. That's sales that you've reported to me. So we had a great year. The holiday market, well, the holiday market was great. We actually exceeded last year's sales with 2 good days. So we had, we moved, for those who didn't know, we moved the holiday market from the downtown mall, which was right out in front of City Hall here. We moved that to the City Market parking lot. We extended the City Market and held the holiday market there, and it was great. We had a great turnout. It was a little slow at first. November, the first few weeks of November were kind of sluggish, but really it picked up after probably 3 weeks. The 28th was a great day. And then we had snow. Do I need to go on with this? We know about the snow, right? And we still, I mean, even in the snow, and we had tons of vendors that left early because the roads were really getting bad. We still had 4,000 in sales. And that's pretty incredible to me. And then, let me think. The next week we had a great week. No snow. And the 19th was the first time the city market or the holiday market has ever been closed. So, and we had 2 feet of snow. So I think we had a good reason. So Farmers in the Park was, it was a little sluggish. You know, we had to start late because of our beautiful aquatic center. But I mean, overall, I think it was a good year as far as, you know, what we had to make it through. I'll probably talk about that later. So let's talk about a few other things, and then we're going to go into talking about possible locations. Any ideas that y'all have? We just want to hear what you're thinking. But before we get into that, because I really believe that that's probably going to be a long conversation, because I'm hoping you all have a lot of ideas and a lot of money. Garden Week. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Garden Week, but every year we have a Garden Week, and a representative of Garden Week called me yesterday, and he is interested in getting vendors to set up on the downtown mall on Monday the 19th. He's looking for flowers, plants, anything that is in season at that time. So he's not looking for crafts.
Which month?
It's April. April the 19th. I don't know. Yeah, it's Garden Week. So I have an email about that. So if you're interested, if you want more information, let me know. Absolutely. The other thing I wanted to talk about was, I'm sure that most of you know, some know better than others. I have so many vendors that want to come to the market that I really haven't been taking new vendors for 3 years. I mean, I try to get them in, but most of the time, there's just not room. That's one of the reasons we started Farmers in the Park. There was another reason for that. But I'm thinking, okay, we have all of these vendors that can't get into the city market. Is it worth starting another midweek market on a different day, at a different location? And I just want to know what your thoughts are, if you'd be interested, before I go any further. Because if I don't have any vendors, then I don't want to spend the time doing it.
Why don't we just make the one bigger?
Because you've been there?
Change the location
Yeah,
to
just at the
city.
H building or something.
You know, where it's supposed to go down.
Bigger, though, I think you're opening yourself up to depleting the amount of income that the other farmers are making.
Yeah.
So the natural progression of growth dictates more markets. The question is can the community support those markets?
Right.
What about referring some of those vendors to other markets that are existing?
I do it every year. Every year.
What's the matter with the county office parking lot again? Why doesn't the county office parking lot, why doesn't that work?
That's our next discussion, my friend. We'll work on, that's our next possible locations.
Is that a consideration given to weekday evenings and so many people are working, they can't get to a day market in the middle of the week?
Yeah, well, that's what our Wednesday market is. It's an afternoon and evening market. So that would be what I would be looking at for, if we did an additional market, it would be afternoon and evening.
And is there a reason that there aren't vendors assigned to where I sometimes stand, you know, right across from the food vendors and set those up as actual spots?
Well, I think you know we did that this year.
Oh, those were, well, there are more space.
Because you know the amount of people that are at the city market, and you are set up in front of the coffee and the donuts, and those are busy. I mean, so I don't want to make a bottleneck that people can't move, because one of our problems at the city market is space. That people, I mean, I actually see people going, okay, let's just get out of here, and I don't want that. I want them hanging around. You want them hanging around. Maybe not standing in front of your booth for half an hour, but you know, that happens and we have no control of that.
What about opening up just the street next to the market? They're blocking off the traffic and expanding. We did it one summer.
I tried that. I tried that 2 years ago. And everyone thought it was a great idea. I went through all the work, got it all set up, and then no one wanted to be there. So
No vendors want to create?
no vendors wanted to be there.
Oh, so then therefore the foot traffic won't go over there.
Right, because I had one guy that was willing to set up over there, and he did great. But I couldn't convince him, or I couldn't convince anybody else that it was a good idea. Because people cross that railroad tracks right there. I mean, that road's the first thing you see. But I had one vendor that was willing to do it, and
Was it an existing vendor or one of these new?
it was a new vendor. But
The other new ones would come in?
no,
'Cause I think that would be ideal.
yeah.
My question for you is, if the city and the Farmers Park wasn't doing as well as you would have expected, why do another midweek evening?
Because Farmers in the Park did well. It's just that we had the Honesty Pool that was being built. And so we started 3 weeks late. It was muddy. And, you know, Mead Park is, I mean, Mead Avenue was a very busy street. So, you know.
So it did okay one season?
Oh, yeah, it did fine. It's not like, you know, we didn't have anybody there. You know,
We just ended up starting late because the construction of the pool ran over by about 3 weeks.
Could you, if you added to your form, if you wouldn't be minding actually being on the street? I mean, it wouldn't bother me to be on the street. I mean, I do street shows all the time. So, you know, to be outside the market but on the street adjacent to it would be very, not a problem.
Rod just said that he would be willing to be on the street, like I was talking about.
Which street, though, you talking?
The only street that we could close is 2nd Street, because there's no businesses. We have issues with shutting down streets that, you know, have houses and businesses because fire trucks can't get to them. One other reason we didn't try it again the next year is they had rented that building, and the people that were renting it needed access on Saturdays. So I'm willing to look at it again if I have enough people that would be willing to set up there.
Not to get into anything that's too contentious, but Sunday market, like, is that completely off the table? Because I feel like the problem of people getting enough time in their weekday schedule to get to the farmer's market, get the parking on Mead, get in and get out is like kind of, I mean, I understand it's a little much for me when I'm going down there to pick up my CSA share. And it's, I don't know, it's Sunday, like, people wouldn't necessarily have to work both Saturday and Sunday markets, but it would give an opportunity for the overflow, and it would give an opportunity for people who wanted to do both produce at the end of Saturday to do something with it on Sunday other than sit on it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it's something to look into.
And I just keep coming back to the county office building. But if we're going to try to grow or not flood the market with vendors, like Tony said, but grow incrementally, adding 5 a year, 10 a year, whatever, I don't know what volume you get with applications, but growing it incrementally, we need a bigger space. We have to think that space that we're in right now was the past and what's next. Our best option was the county office building, but there might be a reason why we can't use that.
Well, again, we're going to talk about that.
I just don't know.
Do you want to go ahead and talk about it?
So how do we deal with the space that's too small? We give it up and we get a new one. Where do we go?
Okay, so is everyone done with talking about the additional midweek market? No. Okay.
Well, I just want to raise my voice one time about questioning the need to get bigger. I agree with the gentleman over here. I agree too. Sometimes bigger is not better. And it may be that there are vendors who sincerely want to be part of this market and just are going to have to wait because it's a quality market. Now there's one option, I mentioned it here, and she said I'd get pushback for this, but I think it's worth thinking about, is having a minimum income for every vendor at the market so that we know that they're selling product to customers, so that we make every customer very happy with what's there, instead of taking up a space with somebody who's selling nothing and possibly keeping it from somebody who could be selling something.
The only problem with that is that some people sell one item that costs a lot of money, and someone else might sell smaller items that cost less, so you
Actually, and it may be something that's judged over the entire market season.
or maybe by number of products that are sold, because one thing that I know that city market is interested in is opening is making it available to a broader audience and not just an affluent audience. So if we have more items that are less expensive, then they might not look like they're selling a lot, money-wise, but maybe number of product-wise.
Yeah, right. But if somebody is sitting there selling nothing, which does happen, I know this, because I've been doing this for 20 years, then why is that space being taken up?
Well, that is a great question, and I agree, and I feel it happens all the time, and the way the market has been run for many years as seniority, who has the space this year gets it next year. If everyone is willing to move to a different one, I'm ready to.
Well, I mean, I'm going to push this just a step further. I know that I spend more to be in my space every week than a lot of other vendors do. And I don't see how that's fair or unfair. I mean, I'm willing to do it, and I'm not saying that I'm not going to do it, but I'm also raising the question of why am I spending about $100 a week to be there, and somebody else may spend nothing to be there. So, just raising the question.
Those people that spending nothing. It was that 25 years ago.
Right.
And that's what made the market start. In other words, it's not very money.
It's about volume of marketeers, and you're not flooding the market by doing it. If you look at the growth we've had in the past 5, 10, 25 years per year, what is that, 10%, 20%? And it's growing faster. There's more people moving here, more people concentrate. So the products we're selling, let us grow with that growth. Add more marketeers. We're not going to flood the market. There's going to be more customers.
Well, that's a little bit risky to say too, because there's gonna be a time when they can't make it because of parking and or physical
So we have a space
impossibility
restriction. Again.
getting in and out.
Exactly.
You
So
know, so you
we got to
can't
move.
just grow by numbers, but maybe by sales per booth. She's got a very valid point about that. I mean,
It is.
And Stephanie, you would know this better than anybody, because you know what everybody does and have a record. Whether this is a fair thing to do for somebody who's been there for a long time or not, I don't know. That's what has to be judged or voted on, really, I suppose.
Right.
It's not, you know,
But if it's a space that's so valuable, and it's the thing that is forcing us to make that decision, move. Get into a larger space, allow those people to exist.
It's been talked about for 10 years.
I know.
Don't just move.
Well, we could just move, can we not?
I'd say let the market management
Decide.
take care of that.
What, the moving? Tom, you've been very patient.
When we start talking about kind of a meritocracy of space, you know, how much you're actually earning, one of the concerns I have is that we lose diversity. I think there are crafters who show up there who that I can see maybe don't make a big sale every week. But by their being there, they also make contacts for sales outside of the market. And also they bring diversity, and people aren't just, the people see different things there. And it creates, so there's more of a benefit to the market for everyone, including the people who are making big sales and selling a lot of items each week, by having that diversity. And I'm concerned that if we do move towards how much you're making per space in your booth, that we lose that diversity and we lose part of the market and what draws some of the people there.
Yeah.
More space. I'd like to say that one possibility, which we've done a little bit, is by having people with higher sales have a space and a half. And I feel like we could do more with that, like have your size of space relative to your sales, so that we could still include diversity, but give people who are paying more space.
I think that that's a possibility, but I don't have the space. I mean, that's where we started. There's no extra spaces.
When you talk about
I'm sorry.
opening up that other road, what road is that? Second Street or First Street?
It's the one, you know, where the building
Where
is.
they had all the stuff stored last year?
Yes. Where the bricks were.
Well, that's an excellent idea, really. I mean, that's a stupid street to begin with.
I know. Well, and I agree. And I feel it's safer for our customers to not have that street open.
I mean, people walk from the parking lot right there. That's
And don't look. I mean, I've seen people just walk straight across the street.
if there's pop-up tents, you'll slow.
Yes. Yes. I'm telling you, the guy that sat up there did great.
Try again.
Yeah. I'll sign up for it.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. I think probably no more than 10. I can't remember exactly how many I had. Because I only was setting up on one side of the street, I think.
So that people can go up and down.
Yeah.
They could go right down the middle of the street.
Right.
And the sidewalks would be the walkways.
Mhm.
They'd be right in the middle of the street.
What if you did like two sides, if there were vendors that didn't need to bring vehicles there?
Well, we could do that as long as they didn't have vehicles. The reason I only did one was so that people could drive, unload their stuff, and move. Because if you have on both sides, you're going to have to carry your stuff from wherever.
Unless you can spill over onto the sidewalk.
I think there's issues with sidewalks and,
Well, they got signs in the concrete, you can't do sidewalks.
okay. Eileen?
Just back to that issue of income, for the income. I think just we should be careful not to block the way for new products coming in, particularly crafters who need, a little time for the public to see that they have a new product and build up a market. Just leave a little leeway.
How about charging a minimum fee? If you don't make money, you pay $50 to do that.
Ooh.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, that is one of the things that I'm looking at, is the minimum. Not $50 though. You got their attention. Now I'm going to sound really good. No. All right, I'm sorry. Randy?
For a couple of years, the subject's been coming up a lot. And I can't help but think that the place that we're at is pretty good. You have to, you open that street up and if I was a new vendor in the area and I had so much stuff, I'd be on the street. Yeah. Open it up again. And I also think there might be more there than meets the eye over on Water Street, for instance. If you set vendors up with a different type of a setup on the sidewalk, where they had a wider spot that was not deep at all, they're setting up against the wall, you can put several vendors right along there without interfering with the sidewalk.
On Water
Not
Street?
close the street.
Then we just have to walk on the sidewalk on the other
Down
side.
the wall. If you're a planner at Diversified, you step behind his place, you fall.
Yeah, I was going to say.
No, with setups that are flat, as opposed to being out. Leave the sidewalk open. I mean, I can do a setup that's more vertical if I have some width. And you can make different size spots. You have, like you said, you have a street down there. And as far as the growth of the market, I think your number is the fact that we're doing more sales each year says that yes, we can have more vendors in there without hurting anybody. My sales are always the same. They don't seem to vary with that. So I see that, I'm not afraid of having more vendors in there. But you do it according to, watch your sales and see what's going on, see what the trend is. If it keeps on growing, go ahead and chase it with more vendors. As long as there's, markets are supposed to be crowded.
Right. And I think you probably all have noticed, I mean, Lucy and I have been cramming vendors into the tiniest little spaces. I mean, Mika is on the corner next to Bill Jones, Babes in the Woods. We also had Christina on that same little, right across from the Coffee and Donuts. Those aren't real spots, but we kind of make them a spot. And, we've got them all over. So I'm willing to look into the street again as long as I have people that are willing to set up there.
And just like the holiday market was really dead the first week from 12 to 2, but the second week it picked up, you just need to give it a little time.
Right, it was the first year. And as it went on, it got busier and busier later because it got cooler in the morning. People weren't showing up at 6 o'clock like they normally do.
And people have to get used to the idea that there's somebody there.
Right.
So I think that opening up the street the first season, people might not want to be there, but then when it becomes an integral part of the market, it won't be an issue.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a fabulous idea to have the street open, and I also think it's important to keep a balance in the greengrocers and bakers and crafters, to have a balance so that it flows nicely. It can keep traffic flowing as well.
Mm-hmm.
You mean intermix as opposed to setting aside areas for specific
Yeah,
types?
there's certain places in the market that you can't ever get through. But if it's dispersed where, you know, you don't have heavy shopping, and then another booth that's heavily, you know, there's a line. And then there's always a flow. There's always Lois in everyone's booth, I think. Except in Richards.
Oh.
This is going back a little bit, but for instance, since I'm a crafter, you were saying about, are we going to have other perhaps midweek markets? Would those be diversified too, or would it only be produce?
I don't know. That's what we're here to talk about. You know, the Wednesday market is only produce. It's only food.
Right.
And that was the reason that I had it, because, you know, farmers don't just have produce on Saturday, and they can't keep it for a week. So that's why the Wednesday market was created.
Right.
Which, you know, so, you know, another day, you know, I don't know. Let's figure it out. I mean, I think we've kind of gotten away from that discussion a little bit. I still don't know if anybody's interested in another midweek market.
I just wanted to say, if we're you know, in a capitalist market, and we're talking about driving money to the market, creating more demand is going to make money for everybody. So the idea of moving the market to some place like the Ix building that we could put like a rooftop garden, a park, tons of parking, tons of places to walk around, tons of jugglers, tons of craft people. People could decide whether they want to be outside. They could decide whether they're inside, sheltered from the rain. Richmond has a covered market area. I know we're not as big as Richmond, but folks, this is one of the largest growing areas in the whole United States. Culpeper was number one, Culpeper. How far north is that from us? And we're out of the whole United States. So the market is going to grow, and there's going to be more demand, no matter whether you're making $1 or $5,000 each time you're at the market. The market is going to continue to grow, and it's going to continue to have people crowding the sidewalks. It's going to continue to be a fire hazard, a burning of a child hazard. A car almost ran over my niece on more than one occasion because people rush in there trying to get parking, and there's no one to police that. There's not. We have to do it, and you know, I'm sorry, but I agree. We need to find bigger space, and we need to find it fast.
And the Ix has got covered.
And the Ix has got a lot of going for it, and I don't know.
I'd like to say something about the color.
Yes, sir.
Richmond used to be a beautiful market.
Mm-hmm.
And they covered it, and it ain't worth 5 cents now.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely not worth.
And I've for probably 5 years, Richmond has been calling me, asking for suggestions and help with their market.
It was like, this is the elite market, like everybody's down, you know, undercover, but everybody that wants to be on the front lines of incoming traffic, they line up, and they're before the car and before the door to the restaurant. They're between the car and the door to the little grocery store. They're between the car and the door to whatever business is built into the Ix, because the Ix is taking off. But part of it is just laying to waste. And it's, what about the place in Woolen Mills? There's an old tile mill just sitting burnt out in Woolen Mills at the end of the line. Make it exclusive. Make it so that it's, you know, people are already fighting to get to our market. They want what we have, and vendors want to copy what we have and do it again. So if we have a discussion, and I have a no compete clause that I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna go over to so-and-so's booth and buy their plants and then mark them up and put them in my booth, or just something simple that just makes us feel all like our interest, whatever that is, whether it's a craft or green or bagel or whatever, the coffee, doesn't matter. I think having the extra coffee vendors at the market has been beneficial because it just increased demand. Okay, so what if Mike brought coffee to the market 25 years ago? So what if Mike was the first person that considered food safety to bring electricity and refrigeration to the market? Guess what? That demand has now increased, and now our farm has to take care of GAPS programs, avian flu. Who's going to come and visit our farm? Who's going to say, oh, I can just show up anytime I want? Lots of people. I'm sure if you ask the farmers here, the demand is so high, they can't get into the market, and the next thing we know, we've got little kids and families running around our farm, and we don't know how they got there. They got our address off the website. Great, they want the product, but we don't even have enough of an outlet to meet that demand. So, we got somebody, they're making $5,000 per market, and they still have stuff to move. Let them have the option of having a secondary market. I'm sure, Eric, you would agree. If you've got enough to move, and let's say he makes it a special night, and he stays overnight in town with his wife every Saturday night. And every Sunday, he has an extra market that he can get rid of his carrots, or Daniel can get rid of his jam. I totally agree about the extra space, so thank you for letting me share.
Stephanie, you might want to mention that Market Central has what's the committee you all have, a search committee? A site search committee that is really anxious to look at other places. There was a study done about 10 years ago, and SEAL has the results of other possible sites, but it's outdated now. And so if you're interested in getting to be a part of that committee that's looking at different sites, talk to this girl here because she's hot on it.
Mark.
Okay, yes, we probably need to grow, but we need to grow in a reasonable fashion. We only have so many buyers. We had a glut of eggs this summer. The egg producers were giving eggs away because we didn't have buyers. This is going to sound serving, but they let in another chicken producer and another lamb producer in the holiday market, and my sales went to pot. So if you want to double overnight, this is what's going to happen. Yes, we need to grow, but we need to grow in a reasonable fashion.
He's right, and I think for this coming year, just for our own sanity, expanding it just to that other street would be sufficient for probably 2 or 3 years. Maybe.
You don't want to mess with it too much.
Right.
You got a good market.
You do.
Right.
You do.
Good management.
The only thing I don't know about is we're thinking all about ourselves right now. We're not at all considering how that money gets into our hands. Have we ever done a survey of how many drivers and walkers are coming to the market? Okay, and the percentage is much higher. Drivers or walkers?
Drivers.
Drivers. So there's no parking right around the thing except the large parking building, which probably not many people use. So instead, where can we move that has parking?
Okay, well, you keep bringing up the Albemarle County office building.
They have parking there?
No. No. There's no street parking. There's neighborhoods.
Isn't there like 400 spots in the
There
parking
is
lot?
319.
Close to 400 spots.
Nah, 319.
How many cars do we have in an hour?
How many vendors do we have? We have 100.
Sure. No,
Okay.
I'm talking about
How many people drive 2 vehicles? Or how many people unload their truck and move them? We have that.
So there's more parking at the site we're at now than there would be
Oh,
anywhere else?
yeah. I mean, there's the little parking lot, there's the big parking lot, there's the parking garage. Thank you, Lucy. There's Garrett Street, there's the street beyond Garrett, which I can't remember what the name is. Yeah, I mean, we are in Parking Central. I mean, yeah, it's never full. Never full.
Is it because they don't use it?
They do charge for parking, and that it's $2 an hour in the parking garage. Yeah, for about 10, 15,000 a week, we could do that. Because we did a customer count in May, which May's not our busiest time, and we had almost 5,000 people counted. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of validations. And like I said, it's May. It's not our busiest time. I mean, so.
Could we do a survey and find out where people are parking?
Good.
How far away are they parking?
The university did a study.
A lot of people park on Garrett.
Didn't they? Like,
I'm sorry?
That's who did the one in May. That's the 5,000.
Yeah, so we got a little bit of data there that's saying people are coming in off of this street,
Yeah.
that street, and I think that, you know, you can use that as some sort of concrete data to say, okay, you know, I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'd be moving on.
Right. Okay.
Think of getting Darden to do sort of, take the city market on as a project, graduate project? You know, how to expand, how to market, how to.
Okay, I forgot. Randy LaShawn.
You know, just a conversation that was just happening right now tells you that you maybe go back to the beginning and decide and look at why you ended up there in the first place. It is a good spot, and it needs to be, it really needs to be in town. You take it outside of town, you immediately eliminate a lot of people that I see at the market. People on bicycles, people that walk. It's the place to be. It has the parking, and especially on Saturdays, it has the parking.
Who owns that parking lot right
What would you think about just
I'm sorry?
eliminating vendor vehicles from the market? Just doing a drop off, it would create more space.
It would create more space, but it would also create more chaos. Because if everyone's there trying to unload and you've got Frankie's big old truck in front of you, you just got to sit there. We're going to have vendors that aren't unloaded until 10 o'clock.
Plus they're going to have to park the vehicle somewhere.
Okay, I'm sorry. I missed. Two people were talking to me.
Where do you put your vehicle after you've unloaded it? You're going to take up parking space anyway.
Yeah, they do. We have lots of people that unload their vehicles and park on Garrett Street.
I would say, I mean, there's an issue of like growing and whether it's fast or slow, and then there's an issue of moving. And I think the idea of staying in the market's an interesting one, expanding the spaces. But I would also just go back to the base. One of the issues I have is the quality of the market. And I'm not talking about any of the goods that are sold at all. I'm talking about the experience. Someone touched on it much earlier about how people don't even go to the market because it's too crowded. They show up and they walk away. And that, to me, is a bigger issue with it ties into all the other issues we've just been talking about, which are parking and growth and sales. But it goes back to just as a consumer, whether it's a good market or not. And I would say that to suggest that there are some pretty big flaws with the way it is now, as far as just as a consumer.
It's not a good market for the government.
Or, yeah. I just think it's way too crowded, and I oftentimes go and walk out because I just can't handle it.
I just had a suggestion a second ago about this site. We're keeping the site. It's a great site. We should keep it. We need a little bit more space. There is a huge parking lot right next to it that some guy owns or manages, and he's charging people so they don't want to park there. They park on Garrett. Would it be in our best interest to throw some money from our sales? Do we have that money to throw for a day rental of the whole parking lot? It's ours. We can set up vendors there, or we can park them there.
Yeah.
Would we be willing?
Are you talking about the nice flat lot?
The one that should be the market, and the guy should manage the other parking lot. We're gonna trade. Why don't we trade with them?
All right, that's the Charlottesville Parking Center that runs that.
Yeah.
Is that a bigger parking lot than the one we're in?
Yeah, double, triple.
Yeah, I think so.
So everyone would move into the bigger one and use the one we're in now as for parking, because we've done shows where it's been split into two, and we found that one half has a good show and the other half just dies. I mean, we've seen it happen several times. You've got to keep it as one entity,
Right.
Absolutely.
Can't
If
split.
it's a bigger space, then that would be great.
And then incorporating that closed off street actually is much more logical.
For that lot, yes. Eric.
I just wanted to ask if you, what the current word from the city about this lot where we are being for sale, and if they're gonna sell it or what, I mean, it's stimulated a lot of this moving discussion that we keep thinking we need to move.
All right, well, let's just move on to that discussion. And I'm going to invite Brian to help me. Come on up, buddy.
Throwing produce at me. Did everybody at the table on the entrance, did everybody get the copy?
There's copy. Lucy?
Lucy?
Lucy's closed the door.
It's an aerial photograph of the county office building site. Because if we're going to discuss, I'd like everybody to make sure they got it.
I'd just like to take a minute and introduce myself. Some of you may know me. I'm Brian Daly. I'm the Director of Parks and Recreation here in Charlottesville as of about the 1st of November. And I've been the acting director since about a year ago, January of 2009. I was the assistant director from the fall of 2005 until the time I was appointed acting director. I want to say a very special thank you to Stephanie. I work with her, closely. She does an outstanding job. It's not the easiest job, and I think she does just phenomenally well. She does. She does. And Lucy's wonderful as well. I want to just make sure that everybody understands our department's commitment to the market. Since the time I arrived in Charlottesville until today, total market revenues have doubled. So in 5 years, it's gone from $600 and some odd thousand to over $1.2 million. That shows the kind of commitment to the market that the community has and the desire, what's out in the market for these services. The Farmers in the Park market at Mead has been very successful. The notion of adding an additional weekday market is something that we are seriously considering, as we've discussed. I think the out in the market, I frankly think it's there. One of the locations we've thought of is Penn Park in the big arched parking lot between the playgrounds and the golf course. Penn is a very busy park. My office was there for a number of years. Between the athletic fields, the tennis courts, the big huge playground, and the golf course, there are hundreds and thousands of people coming through there every day. It would probably be a very successful location for a midweek evening market. So I just wanted to make sure everybody understands and knows that if we're going to do an additional location, that's the location we're thinking about.
I need a little help. I don't know where that is.
Penn Park is on Rio Road. If you take Park Street north and it turns into Rio Road and gets you up to US 29, there's a traffic light there, Penn Park Road, and you go down into the park. Meadow Creek Golf Course is there.
Nelson.
I know there's been a lot of angst about the future of the market. Where's it going to be? What's the final location? And all of this sort of thing. Our commitment is that we're going to continue to operate this program. We're going to continue to run it, and we want it to grow, and we want it to serve the needs of the community. The notion of closing 2nd Street is probably a really good one. I think that's one we will pursue. Long term, we've been asked to look at a couple of other locations in town, and one of them is the county office building site. The first conversation is to go sit down and talk to the county and see if they're even willing to talk to us. The answer to that question was yes, they were willing. But we haven't really gone any farther in our analysis of the location.
They're laughing at Leslie.
Oh.
Here, I'll show you. I don't have a pocket, so I put the tape in my back and it went right on down.
Down in your boot? Yeah.
Farmer's pocket, boot. Sorry.
So we did sit down with the county, and they are willing to have the conversation and willing to look at the options. But we haven't gone any farther because we wanted to hear from you all and wanted everybody to take a look at this objectively and see, does this site work? It isn't, it's downtown, but it's not downtown. There isn't as much parking in the immediate vicinity as there is at the current location. It's certainly flatter. it's a bigger parking area. You could probably put more vendors in, but we wanted to hear from you. And we've looked, there's probably other locations in town. I heard about the Ix building was mentioned. That would require some negotiation with that property owner. Maybe down the road, there's a discussion potentially that could happen at the Martha Jefferson Hospital location as they move out to Pantops. That might be a talk that we could have with them. But we wanted to hear from you about the county office building site before we went any farther in discussions with the county. Yes?
To what extent are we wedded to setting up in the lot, and to what extent can we use that strip of grass by the side of the road for vendors and the baseball field? Like, is that?
I think the baseball field would not be an option, particularly on a Saturday morning.
We had a little league baseball player, let me tell you, that field is awful.
But I think the grass strip between McIntyre Road and the parking lot would certainly be worthy of discussion. It's got a little lumpy, but.
That's all I got. The only thing I've noticed is the fact that everything we're talking about takes money. And right now, the city council with their budget and money, and right now, with the money we're talking about, you're talking about millions of dollars. The city market doesn't make millions of dollars a year. They might take in that much money, but a lot of the money that's being taken in is being used in other ways to pay people's salaries and different things like that. So I don't see it being traded off to get another parking lot. Also, when we talk about money, if the vendors here really want to do something, they need to put their own money up to do something. They need to put your money where your mouth is yourself. And in other words, Market Central has a committee, and I would say very few vendors are putting money in it for them to buy a place. Very few vendors are putting money in it each month to try to help advance that. You talk about money, but nobody wants to put money up to really do anything.
That's a great point. What if we ask the actual customers to put up money, donations every day, every Saturday for a year or 2, 3 until we make $100 from it? They'll never do it.
They will do it. They will do it. Yes. That's probably something I should
write.
They will do it.
They will donate.
And that's, I mean, we have a 501(c)(3). Let's raise money. I mean, you know, if you want to talk about, I mean, Jack Kaysen, when we started the day after he had his accident, raising money for him. We had 8 weeks. We raised over $4,000 in 8 weeks. $4,489, something, you know, but in 8 weeks, that's quite a bit of money. And
small donations?
Yeah. Just people had a can on their table, and people would come by and shove $1 in, shove 20 in, you know. And I, of course, set up on the nonprofit row, and I see it all day long, where people are just giving money.
Okay. Let me just summarize what I've heard here. I don't hear a whole lot of cheering and shouting about the county office building location. Okay. You know, we will certainly take that back because the question that actually came to us to specifically look at that location was from Mr. Huja on City Council. So I think any comments, notions, thoughts that you have about all of this that can be shared with members of the governing body is a wise thing.
When are their meetings?
They meet every other Monday, the first and third Mondays of each month.
When is City Market ever on their agenda? I've never seen that.
I don't know that it has been.
They have never.
Mr. Huja brings it up.
He does bring it up occasionally.
It's not been on their agenda.
But it's coming up.
You got to bring it up. Don't trust this guy.
There's opportunity for public comment on any topic under the sun at the beginning of every council meeting. So, okay, with that, we do have other things on the agenda that we want to get to. So, turn it back over to Stephanie.
I'm going to very quickly go over the non-reserved vendor because I see quite a few new vendors. What I do is I don't have enough space. I think we've already covered that. So what I do is non-reserved vendors is basically all the spaces are taken every week. There's a few people that can't make it, so I fill those spaces with non-reserved vendors. It's just the way it works. You know, I don't have any extra space until maybe we look at closing a road. I still don't know that we'll have extra space because I have vendors that have been coming for years as non-reserve vendors. And I have to look at them. I have to look at what we need, what we don't need, and that's how we kind of make the decision. If a space opens up, I look at what I need. You know, do I need more jewelry, or do I need, you know, do I need another cheese vendor? Do I need a bread vendor? This is how I decide what goes into an open space, because I want the market to be a whole. Like, I want people to come and be able to get everything there. So non-reserve vendors, I'm sorry, it's just the way it is. We would love to have you, but I don't have space, and we have to look at what we really need. So, any other questions? I'll talk to you after about that. And let's move on. So we're gonna move on to marketing, and I'm gonna turn it over to Will.
Do I need to put this on?
Yay, go
Yes.
team, go! You can do it. Sorry, sir, I wasn't.
Okay, I'll keep this moving along as well since we're running a little short on time. First of all, let me introduce myself. I'm Will Bassett. I handle all the business operations and marketing for the entire Department of Parks and Recreation, which includes all the markets as well. Let me give everybody my email address. If you want to write it down, any questions, follow-up questions afterwards, be happy to answer all that stuff. It is Bassett, B-A-S-S-E-T-T, @charlottesville.org. And I'm usually always on the email.
Cards out there.
Great. So just wanted to kind of go over the marketing that we do for the market and some of the methodology behind it. So first of all, the overall goal of marketing for City Market is to raise awareness and drive traffic to the markets. That's the overall goal. We have two broad target audiences. The locals, we also have tourists as well. Charlottesville is a very popular tourism destination, particularly on weekends. Hotel rates are through the roof and people are always in town. So we kind of have campaigns for both locals and tourism here. And it's kind of broken down into a couple areas. We have direct marketing, which is paid, which is stuff that we run that we directly pay for by City Market funds. We have indirect marketing, which is general parks and recreation stuff that City Market's included in, but we do not take money from City Market funds there. We have other in-kind services there. And then we have public relations that we deal with, and media relations and media stories there. So on the direct marketing, on the paid side, primarily we advertise, and I'm just going to kind of list out some publications and the differences between them and stuff like that. So on the local campaign, Seaville Weekly, The Hook, Daily Progress we use typically around the beginning of the markets, sporadically throughout and towards the end of the markets. They're good events-driven publications for the local markets. People want to know what's going on the weekend, bands playing, restaurants, market activities and stuff like that. We also have Flavor Magazine and Edible Blue Ridge, our new publications that we're into there, very right up the alley if people are interested in fresh produce and markets throughout Central Virginia. Albemarle Family is another publication that we advertise in. They're very well-rounded, good regional publication, monthly family publication that caters to a lot of families. And actually, you know, they have a great audience there. We do a lot of stuff there. On the tourism front, we have welcome guides that we advertise in for the Charlottesville area. And then we also print and distribute postcards. And Lucy is actually our street team. She goes around and distributes those to the local hotels, restaurants, coffee shops, and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of a sum of our paid advertising. Typically, we don't do television and radio. The reason for that is TV and radio, in order to run an effective campaign, you have to sustain the campaign. You can't just run one TV commercial during the 5 o'clock news and expect X amount of people to see it. So TV, it adds up. In order to run an effective campaign, it adds up over time. Same thing with radio. We are in some negotiations department-wise. I'm in negotiations with some radio stations right now, not specifically for the city market, but Parks and Recreation in general, in which we're discussing, we would be able to rotate in some advertising on some targeted radio stations for the city market, not specific campaigns just for city market, but general Parks and Recreation activities, and city market would kind of be rotated around in there with, depending upon the time of the year for that. We also do we get picked up on the TV and radio with our public service announcements. Our city communications office distributes those. They get picked up quite often on that stuff there.
And Meet the Farmer TV.
And Meet the Farmer.
That's right.
Every week on 2 local channels and national and satellite promoting city market.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We need to cut that out. Because we're too crowded anyway.
Okay. So that's just in a nutshell the direct paid advertising there. The indirect marketing or advertising, this is some unpaid stuff. Channel 10, the city's channel stuff. Meet the Farmers, a lot of scrolling messages along there. That's some city resources that doesn't cost the city market any direct funds there. There's the city website, as well as the Parks and Recreation website, which city market's listed on the events calendars throughout there. We also have the Parks and Recreation magazine. The old copy's out there, it's called Connections. We are launching a brand new one, and the first issue will be out at the end of March. It's larger, it looks like a magazine, it's better quality. We've retooled the distribution methods for that to reach more people in a more effective manner. City Market has a full page ad in there, no cost to direct market funds there. It's all Parks and Recreation stuff. We've eliminated third-party advertising, so it's just strictly Parks and Recreation stuff, and the City Market has a great full-page ad within there. On the tourism side, some indirect stuff, the Charlottesville Albemarle Convention and Visitors Bureau is responsible for bringing tourists to Charlottesville. In the past, we've worked with them, and we have event listings on their website. They have a new website that is launching in the middle of April. I've seen it. It is fantastic. It is really dynamic, and it's really going to boost tourism to the area, and it's a lot more dynamic, so it's going to give us more opportunities for advertising banners on there, more graphical stuff about the city market, not just an events calendar listing on there. We'll have the ability to kind of move on up to the front page, right up there next to Monticello and UVA, and more exposure on the homepage of the Visitors Bureau there. We have email blasts that go out regularly from the department to customers, to our databases of people who are interested in Parks and Rec news, people who are customers of ours that we have their email addresses there, so we kind of keep them always informed of stuff going on with the market there. We have events listings that are picked up for free in places like Seaville and The Hook. We do send out the information every week to them. They do not get picked up every week. We do not have control over this. This is not advertising, this is editorial. So we kind of work with them to kind of ensure that we can get picked up, and that's kind of a communications thing that we're just kind of working on there. But that's another venue there. And then the last part is the PR. We have a lot of stories about City Market out there. And actually, City Market gets the most amount of PR coverage out of all of Parks and Rec. City Market gets more coverage, positive coverage, than any other program or service in Parks and Rec. So I think we get a lot of good free exposure for there. Just kind of a rough breakdown of what we spend. The line item that we have to work with is $10,000. Roughly $6,000 of that goes, this is for paid advertising, $6,000 goes to City Market, $2,500 goes to farmers in the park, about $1,500 goes to holiday market there. Now, on the paid advertising, just want to let everybody know, the city does have negotiated rates with all of the media outlets. So we are at a very low advertising rate. We're not paying full open rates. We're not paying rates of what a private restaurant would be paying. So it helps us get more bang for the buck there. So we're helping increase advertising through that there. So that's just kind of a snapshot of what we do. Have any questions, comments?
But it's still not cheap.
No.
It's still not cheap.
$6,000 does go by quick.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
The
percentage that we pay to $72,000 or $72,000 last year, that goes just into the general park and recreation fund, and then you bill it out as needed?
It is, go ahead.
The way our budget is structured, all revenues from the city market go into a cost center within our department's budget. So we have a cost center for aquatics, for golf, for park maintenance.
Is that like a general fund?
It is in the, it goes into the city's general fund, and it's a cost center within that. And the expenses for the market, salaries, benefits, advertising, operating expenses, come out of the city market cost center. So
not the park and recreation cost center.
it is within our departmental parks and recreation budget, yes. And it is one of the cost centers that actually it recovers more than 100% of its costs. So there's more revenue coming in than we expend every year.
So you can actually spend some of that somewhere else?
No, we do not.
You couldn't?
It's not Social Security.
I mean for other park and recreation affairs.
Don't give the council.
They don't, other divisions don't have the authorization to go in, like say the aquatics division, they don't have the authorization to go in and place an ad and charge it to the city market's advertising line item.
Those expenses are tightly controlled.
Right.
And the only thing that is expended out of the city market cost center has to do with the markets. The revenue that comes in comes from the markets.
So is there a surplus now?
Yes, I mean, it's not a lot. We're talking about $5,000 to $10,000 annually.
Want to put that towards advertising, or a portion of that towards improving advertising, particularly for the change that we had this past year with the extended market, which I personally don't feel was marketed adequately because the visitation dropped off dramatically come November and into December particularly. So could we kind of think about maybe pulling a little more money out to maybe advertising the extended market a little bit better this year?
Well, we're in our budget cycle right now.
It also gets really cold in November and December. I think people just don't come out.
And this winter has not been it got colder.
Yeah, that's certainly a great point that we'll definitely take a look at there. And yes, so I handle all expenditures for marketing and advertising. So I make sure that they're not using market funds to advertise the golf course. And then, so when we have other funds, I can pull from general administration funds from Parks and Recreation to pick up other supplemental, the non-paid stuff for city market as well. Just one last thing. We've over the past year been working on kind of revamping some other marketing materials for other divisions, aquatics and golf, and the redesign of the new Parks and Rec magazine or brochure there. I'm looking at bringing that design firm on almost as an agency on retainer. With that, I would be looking at them and devoting some funds to having them develop top-notch advertising brands, materials, collateral, ads for the city market. So, it just gives us, kind of a better looking image for that. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to ask you one question. Does some of the money that's being turned in, does any of it go on to the state for sales tax or anything like that, or that just stops here? Because I think a lot of people think all the money is turned in just stays with you, but I'm thinking some of the money goes on. Is that true or false out?
Yeah, for the people that pay their sales taxes through me, yeah.
So a lot of the money, so basically you're only allowed to keep a small amount of the money that's turned into you anyway. Is that true? I mean,
Just the 6%. So like if you pay 8.5%, that 2.5% gets sent over to City Hall with a report, and they know how much to pay.
the other 4% goes to the state for sales tax.
No, it goes into the markets.
Right, right. The sales tax is additional.
Anything else? Move on? Okay, like I said, any other questions, give me an email. Thank you. Yes, email, any ideas, please email me. Any other publications out there or any thoughts, anything, open to suggestions. Thank you.
Okay, we're next. We've got Cecile. And Judy.
I'm probably going to talk more. So
Jabba Judy is what I call her.
Are we on?
Sarah. Hi, everybody. I'm Judy Berger. I'm the Community Nutrition Manager at JABA. And you're going, why do people who work with old people want anything to do with farmers and markets? And I'm just going to give you a brief reason why. JABA serves an elderly population, granted, but we also see that it's important for folks as you're getting to that elderly stage to eat nutritionally so that you can age in a more healthy way. We also serve a low-income population in some of our clients, and it's very important to us that they receive the best food out there. So this in mind, we've launched a few projects with you all. Last year you did the market currency, which Stephanie's going to talk about in a few minutes. And we had a Paul Newman Foundation come to us this year, the Wholesome Wave Foundation, and they said, we will give you the money to start EBT at your market. EBT stands for Electronic Balance Transfer. It means that if I have a debit card, I can go up to the counter where we're giving out tokens, swipe my debit card for 20 or 30 bucks worth of tokens, and come spend them with you. It also means that if I'm a food stamp recipient, I can swipe my SNAP benefit card and get tokens and come spend them with you. Okay? The nice thing about the Wholesome Wave grant is they said we will pay for the equipment, we will pay for someone to run the show basically for the first year, and we will give you an additional $7,000 of double voucher coupons that people with SNAP benefits can use in addition to their SNAP benefits. Okay, so if I receive SNAP benefits and I swipe my card for $10 to come spend at your booth, I can also get an additional $10 in coupons to spend at your booth. Okay, so they basically handed us $7,000 just to put in your pocket, okay, as vendors. So the person that we hired is Cecile Gorham, who is the president of Market Central. She's been doing the organizing of the EBT equipment. I'm going to pass out some papers here in a minute that show you what the tokens look like. And she's heading up the project this year. I'm trying to kind of be support at JABA. And one thing that, well, my brain just stopped, so I don't know where that thought was going. Let's do this, and that hopefully this will put me back on track. I only ran off 50 copies, so I'm just going to...
Not everybody is going to be able to participate, because if you use your SNAP benefits at the market, you're only eligible to buy eligible food. So you have to be able to buy produce, dairy products, bread. It has to be food that is not consumable at that immediate moment, so you can't buy hot food. A pie? You can probably buy pie, because you can take that home and serve it later. You can do bread
Extras?
products. There is kind of a fuzzy line.
Extras? Here, I'll take this.
The government has specific
You guys have
restrictions
some?
on what you can buy.
Did you get some?
And then, of course, when you use your SNAP benefits, your food stamp benefits, you're not allowed to give change.
Can you leave the mic with me?
And that is why we have tokens.
I'm coming right back.
Designed tokens. So what your customers are going to do is come up to our booth, and we will have an electronic swiping card, just like you see at the stores, and their money is on their card electronically, and they will run the card through, and then they will tell us how many tokens they want, and then they'll get that, and then, like you were saying, they'll also get a coupon to spend that extra bonus money at your booths.
In markets the size of Charlottesville, which we're considered a medium-sized market, in markets all over the United States, the addition of the EBT has brought in an additional $40,000 to $60,000 a year. Okay, so this is just money in your pocket. But I do want to tell you this, first off, is you don't have to participate if you don't want to. All right? You can choose not to accept the tokens. All right? I'm going to real quick run through the process of how this works. All right. Client comes up with either a debit card or a SNAP card. Swipes it for how much money he wants. We give that person, if it's a SNAP beneficiary card, we give them the red coins. And they can also get the double voucher coupons. If it's a debit person, a debit card person, they get the green coins. All right? First example, Let's start with the SNAP beneficiaries, our food stamp folks. They have $10 in coins. They purchase X amount of dollars from you, say $4 in produce. They can also use their bucks to spend an additional $4, okay? You never give monetary change or any kind of change for a SNAP beneficiary person. And the reason why is because the federal government has to track this money. So we can't have you take money out of your pocket to give them change back. If they have $10 in coins and they only buy $9.50 in produce, you cannot give them 50 cents back. What you can do is say, I'll throw in an extra something or other that'll use up the extra 50 cents, or you only take $9 worth and give them a break. Whatever you want to do is fine.
Or they can give you 50 cents of their own money.
Of their own money.
So
right.
you'll have to kind of work it out with your customers.
Okay. So the restrictions more are on the SNAP people, our food stamp recipients, okay? When a debit card person comes up with a green coin, you could give them monetary change back all you want, okay? Green means go with the change, all right? Red means stop, no change, and it says it on the coins, okay? Those of you who want to be involved in this program will get a sign to hang at your tent that says, we accept SNAP benefits, okay? I can't imagine any reason at all that you would not want to at least accept the debit tokens, okay? Well, I can't imagine any reason why you wouldn't want to accept either one of them, because what's going to happen is, at the end of the day, you bring us your tokens, and we'll put them in an envelope like this. You'll fill out a little piece of paper, and I'll give these to you on your way out, that says how many coins are in there, whether they're debit or credit. We both sign off on it. Okay, we've counted them. That's how many they are. Seal will come back, do some accounting, figure out how much we owe you, take out the 6% that goes to Stephanie, and write you a check to give you the next Saturday. You do not have to wait a month to get your money. You will get your check from a week before at the following Saturday. Okay? Those of you who have can do electronic transfer, JABA is more than happy to electronically transfer it into your fund during the week if you want it sooner. Okay? That's actually easier for us, less bookkeeping.
What if you're a non-reserve vendor?
What does that mean?
That means they don't have a space every week.
They don't have a space every week. Then you need to either give me a account number to transfer the money into or an address that I can mail you the check. And you know, if you know you're going to be there every Saturday, we'll just bring you the check the following Saturday. If you don't want to do it that way, we can mail it to you. I mean, it doesn't make any difference to us. The idea is that we want to make sure the market is sustainable and is accessible to people that we serve. We want low-income people to be able to, let me bang that mic a little more, I know that sounded good. That we want low-income people that we serve to have access to good food. So, yes?
The green token, that's not just limited to produce, right?
Everybody can take the green token.
It's debit card money, so you get that's your money. And they're wooden, by the way. These are pictures. So the debit one's going to be a 2-inch wooden coin, and it's going to say 5 on it. They have to buy them in $5 increments. And yeah, they can buy anything, anywhere at the market.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. They can buy any market.
It's just like their own credit.
Yeah, but if you choose not to accept that coin, that's up to you. However, it means that you're going to lose out on some income. But if you don't want to wait for your check until the next week, then that's fine. You don't have to take it. Yes?
I just want to say this is a great program that we participate in at another market, and we definitely feel like it's increased sales. It's been very easy to do. And at the other market, we actually, as vendors, pay the 3% transaction fees. And I'm wondering who's paying.
The vendor will not pay a transaction fee. The people who who use their debit card to get coin tokens will spend for each transaction, each time they swipe their card, they will pay $1. That will go to pay for the transaction fees that we have to pay for with the bank for the EBT machine. And then the extra 45 or 50 cents on every dollar goes into the city market money. So it's just another way that we can make money for the market. Yeah?
What happens if they buy more coins than what they're going to spend?
Okay, they have the choice of putting them in their pocket and bringing them back the next day. Bringing them back the next week. Okay? Or SNAP beneficiaries, because their funds are a lot more limited, can actually bring their coins back and we can add it back onto their SNAP card so if they need to go to the grocery store that week, they can. A lot of the debit card users just carry them around and use them from week to week. So, and a lot of them don't ever even get turned in. So there we have money that's just sitting in the account, we're waiting to be used, which is good for the central bank account, but not good for your bank accounts, because we want it to go to you. So.
We have a question over here.
Are the SNAP tokens subject to sales tax?
I need to look into that. What's that?
I didn't hear the question about sales tax.
What are the SNAP tokens subject to sales tax? I have to look into that. I'm not really sure. Yeah.
When you go into the store with food stamps.
They don't pay sales tax? No. Okay, then it's not. It's going to be the exact same here. All you are is another vendor.
Can I just echo what Eric said?
We'll double check that though.
Yeah.
I just want to echo and to support what he said, that we've also seen a high success, especially in the more metropolitan areas, and yes, folks, we're becoming more metropolitan, that this program, not only does it work, but it puts money in your pocket and it puts money back in the community. So I just wanted to second the motion that Eric said.
Yeah. Any other questions? I will have a full basic rundown of training with details of this. This for you guys is really easy. You just need to remember red, stop, no change, green, whatever you want to do, whatever they want to buy, okay? But I will send you a list of what they can buy with those red ones. Remind you that you cannot give change for the red ones. How you turn in your coins at the end of the day, how you get your check back the next week. It's a really simple process, and I will also email or mail copies of these to you so that everybody has the regs before we get started, okay? And mine and Cecile's numbers are at the bottom. That's my cell phone, so if you're actually at the market and you have a question, you can call me because I'll be there with my cell phone. Cecile will be there also working. We'll probably both be doing a lot of this the first couple weeks till we get the hang of it, so yes.
Are you going to be by your table?
Yeah.
Market manager's table. We'll probably be right next to it.
Yeah, and there'll be a big sign up that says get your tokens here, and we're also going to do a big a press release and blah, 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 media splurge. And we're also going to send out a bunch of stuff to people who receive food stamps and get the word out so that people know that once they get there, they can swipe their cards and buy stuff at the market. So.
You cover the counterfeiting too?
You know what? I'm going to think that this is such a good, wholesome community that we live in. You know, if somebody's clever enough to counterfeit those daggone things and they're that hungry, I'm not so sure I could turn them down.
Yeah, I think it would cost them a lot of money to come up with the equipment for dollar tokens, you know.
I'll tell you one thing, it's going to help me because I give away more produce.
Yeah, oh, and speaking of giving away, the gleaning thing was really great last year, and thanks to all of you who gave leftover produce. We're working with the Society of St. Andrews this year, so I'll have even more volunteers at the market to get to each of you to pick up stuff that you can't use anymore. And also, Society of St. Andrews goes out into farms. When you have picked as much as you can pick, and there's still some out there and you just don't want to see it rot on the vine, they will come out and pick it and send it to the food bank. So if any of you are interested in that program, I'd love to get you signed up for it. So, yes?
I just wanted to maybe make the point that the general marketing for the market could put that people can bring their debit cards now. And
Absolutely.
Get tokens, if we can add that into the general marketing plan.
Yep.
And also, I think this is awesome, and I'm so glad that
Yeah,
you
thank you.
Thanks, Job.
You're here.
Do you want to talk about the currency? Do you need me for that?
Judy, I had a quick question.
Yeah.
How busy are you going to be?
Well, you know, I'm going to try to go to the New Orleans Jazz Festival at the end of April and the beginning of May, but probably that weekend is going to be the only one. I have a feel. Well, I've got all these good helpers.
Yeah, I mean, like on the day, are you going to be so busy?
I hope I'm slammed.
So. Maybe 2 people or 3.
Oh yeah, I hope we're
Fernfield.
slammed.
Yeah.
Yep,
Cool.
absolutely. So the local currency.
I just really wanted to just say, we started the local currency last year, basically same reason. We want our low-income neighbors to have healthy food. And we originally kind of thought, well, maybe they can't afford our food, so let's give it to them. So JABA and the city went together and gave $1,000, and we gave out these local currency. I didn't bring any.
I didn't bring any either. How many of you received local currency this year? Great. Was it a problem?
Yeah, City Market.
Were people happy? And I hope that you feel free in educating them. A lot of them don't know that you have to snap the ends off the string beans before you can cook them. I mean, really, they don't know. It's so obvious to us, but they don't know. They don't know what an eggplant is. They don't know how to cook it.
Right.
So,
They don't know what an eggplant is in 50
well,
years.
share your knowledge to them when they come use those, okay?
Because they were very happy to participate in this.
We got letters from people thanking us for doing it and thanking you all for being so generous, because everybody said they gave me more than I actually had to pay for, so thanks you guys.
So it was a nice program. We plan to do it again.
We'll do it after we do the double vouchers, though. The double vouchers will be the first push for the season so we can get that $7,000 sunk into your pockets. And then we'll do local currency a little later on in the season like we did last year.
And also interface with the WIC program.
We're working on that. Yeah, they're working on getting WIC kosher with farmers markets.
Every week.
So.
Yeah. We have a chef that comes every week and sets up beside me and cooks something that is in season, and he leaves the recipes right there on the table and talks.
You're going to get more of these people who don't know how to cook and
Right.
know how to cook
Well, we're doing educational demonstrations also at some of the low-income housing projects where like Child, Youth, and Family Services goes in to deal with folks, and they will give them teaching instructions and things like that. If you have recipes for your food, please run them off. If you don't have access to a copier, email them to me. I will run them off and bring them to your tent so that when folks come up and don't know how to make something, right here. I mean, I can't tell you how much this man, Mike, has told me how to do with what things that I never knew existed. So, I mean, it's really helpful when you have that encouragement.
Could we possibly include that in the cool new market manager's blog and add those recipes to your personal page?
Sure.
And, you know, maybe if we think it's important enough and we're marketing ourselves, we could volunteer 2 hours of our time to work on our own page. If you need a picture, I'm a photographer.
Okay. One other idea, just as encouragement for you to put resources on your tables for them, is because then they'll come back. If you tell them how to cook those fried green tomatoes or whatever, they'll come back because you were friendly and you gave them a good recipe. So it's just self-marketing yourself. So, all right, I know we got to move on. So, are we done with my portion?
I think we're done, except for Kathy in Market Central.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the new year, and I hope everyone's fared okay over the winter time. I've been thinking a lot about you guys and the growers, and I saw pictures of fallen greenhouses and such. I'm Kathy Kilday. I'm one of the board members of Market Central. For those of you who don't know, we're a membership organization. We're comprised of vendors and community members, and our membership has been growing greatly over the last couple of years. Our involvement with the market, we see ourselves as sort of an anchor between the vendors and the community and the city administration. There are a lot of things that the city administration is unable to do for the market or doesn't have the time, energy, or inclination to do. There are a lot of things that the vendors can't take it upon themselves to do, and so we're sort of that middle ground. If you're not a member, please consider it. It's $10 a year. You get voting privileges within actions that we take in the organization. If you want to work on some projects, we got things for you to do, but we won't put you to work unless you want to. But there are a couple of things that I wanted to talk to you about this morning, and I hope that you've seen our newsletters in the past. We started doing them I guess 2 years ago, but we've done 4 each season. I've got, I think, copies of the last issue on the table out front. We always welcome submissions, ideas for articles, photos, resources, anything that is newsworthy that you think the market community would be interested in. We'd be happy to take those. We are trying to put our distribution primarily via email. So if you're not getting that via email, please let me know your email address. I'll put you on that list. The nice thing about that is, number one, the pictures are in color. You can forward it to people that you know that might be interested, and all the links in it are active. So if you're looking at it online, you can go to a site very easily. So, and not to mention the fact that it reduces our printing, postage, and paper cost. So if There are a stack of my cards out on the table in the back that have the email address, my phone number, the website address. If you haven't checked it out by now, please do. And if you have anything that you want to send to me via email, please do that as well. Let's see. All right. Our website finally was launched in October of last year. Again, if you're a vendor and you have a website and you'd like us to put a link to your site on ours, let me know about it. I'm happy to put it on there. We're getting more and more traffic through our site as people start queuing in to look. So if you want to be linked, please let me know.
How many people?
Excuse me?
How many people
How many vendors?
are looking?
A couple hundred a month. And like I said, we just launched it at the end of last market season, so we expect to have a lot more traffic this year. I wanted to talk to you really briefly about our farm tour program and issue you all an invitation to participate. In 2009, we did our first farm tour program. We had 7 growers participate, 2 flower vendors, and then 5 vegetable farms. We held it Labor Day. It's going to be held again Labor Day this year. We have a really interested group of volunteers working on it, and you will, if you are a produce or plant vendor, you will probably be getting a mailed invitation, a personal invitation to participate in the tour this year. I'd like to identify a couple of the growers that that participated in the tour last year. Double H Farm, Richard and Jean had a lot of visitors at their farm. Catherine Bertoni, Appalachia Star, had quite a few. Are the Nelkes here? Nelke Farms in Nelson County had a fabulous time. Eric Plaxon, who was very much north of all the Nelson County farms, but had a few visitors. But one of the things that we'd really like to do this year is to broaden the geographic scope so that we give people a better broad base in the area. We're hoping to have as many as 15 farms participate in the tour this year. We've worked out a few logistical issues, I hope, this year. And I don't know, would you guys like to say just a word or two about your experience of hosting the farm?
That was a good deal.
But, I mean, thank you, Richard. All right. But I think the growers that I spoke with were amazed at the customers that came back afterward, going, you know, I saw that watermelon growing in the field, or whatever. It was great, and there were a lot of very interested consumers that asked a lot of questions.
We made a lot of sales that day from people.
They had on-farm sales of produce and meat, so there was just a really good way for you to showcase what you do best. We provide a volunteer staff to actually direct traffic at your farm, help with parking, so that all you're doing as a grower is to showcase what you do. If you want to walk people around your farm, if you want to do a self-guided tour and kind of hand off a sheet with numbers on it, or, you know, we'll talk with you about how to do that. And we're happy to help in any way. But at any rate, we will be trying to get farms committed to working on this tour before the market actually starts, so that we can start promoting the tour itself by July 1. And again, it is scheduled for September 6. One last thing is we're working on an event which has yet been titled, but we're trying to get some area organizations that are concerned in sustainability and local foods and who have an interest in what the market provides to our community, that are not vendors, but that they might be interested in having an exhibition space at the market. We're looking at a weekend in May where we're looking at that closed off street where we have 8 to 10 or 12 exhibitors that come in and talk to people about what they can do to support local foods, and, you know, kind of a one-stop shop for if you're interested in supporting local foods in your community, here's what you can do. One of the things that we would like to incorporate in that event is maybe a raffle where we are raffling market foods or market products. If we approach you all later with asking for a $5 or a $10 certificate donation, I hope that you'll consider doing it so that we could do like one basket full of market certificates that they can come back and spend through the summer. $5, $10, that's all we'd be looking for. But if you just kind of put that in the back of your head, we'll get more information to you about that later. And again, I'll be here after the meeting. If you have any specific questions about the farm tour program, we'd love to hear from you. I have 2 people working with me, Janet and Cynthia, who may contact people if you've expressed an interest in hosting the tour. But I hope that you'll consider it. We had a great time. Over 200 people visited farms and traveled around the back roads and got lost and had fun. Learned a lot, and I think it's worth doing again. So we'd like to try to make it an annual event. So thank you very much. Oh, and if anyone has any interesting winter stories and or photos, as I'm sure you all probably do, I'd love to have them on the website. So if you have something that you can send to me, or people are real interested in what y'all do during the wintertime. Thank you very much.